She was 18, laughing, dancing, planning her future. But just hours after stepping onto a Caribbean cruise ship, Keaptainner was gone. Pronounced dead at exactly 11:17 a.m., a timestamp so precise. Investigators say it could only mean one thing: something sudden, something violent, or something someone doesn't want us to know. Today, we uncover the mysterious final moments of a young girl whose dream vacation turned into a haunting, unsolved tragedy. "18-year-old Keaptainner was the kind of girl who wasn't just loved, she was adored. Friends described her as the sunshine of every room, while her family called her their Anna Banana. She was a high school senior with her entire world ahead of her. A girl who laughed loudly, danced without hesitation, and carried dreams much bigger than the small Florida community she grew up in. Anna wanted to join the military after graduation. She wanted to see the world, to push herself, to prove what she was capable of. So when her family planned a Caribbean cruise aboard the Carnival Horizon, Anna was thrilled. Cruises were familiar territory for her. She had been on several before, and vacations like this were part of her happiest memories. Just last May, she'd posted videos of herself dancing in her cabin, giggling as her grandparents watched from the couch, smiling proudly at her energy. This trip was supposed to be just as joyful one last family adventure before she stepped into adulthood. But everything changed at 11:17 a.m. That exact timestamp would become the center of one of the most puzzling cruise ship deaths in recent memory. The morning began normally. Passengers were already at the pool, kids were grabbing breakfast. Others were heading toward the massive deck windows to watch the ocean drift endlessly under the sun. Then suddenly everything froze. Crew members rushed past passengers sprinting toward a restricted area 2 floors below. Some guests later reported hearing a strange commotion, others recalled a voice on the ship intercom requesting medical assistance. But no one imagined that what was unfolding was the end of a young girl's life. By late morning, the Carnival Horizon docked in Miami, and by 11:17 a.m., the Miami-Dade medical examiner officially documented the time that Keaptainner was pronounced dead. But what happened? And why did the medical examiner make note of such an oddly precise time of death? Normally, deaths on cruise ships, especially those involving uncertainty, carry broad-time windows, not exact minutes. Immediately, Anna's father, Christopher, demanded answers, but none came. "The FBI hasn't shared anything with me yet," he said quietly in an early interview, exhaustion in his voice. "I know as little as everybody else. I have no idea what is going on right now. We are just trying to sit still and wait for answers. No explanation, no clarity, no closure, only a time." 11:17 a.m. and a daughter who never came home. In mysteries like these, investigators always look at the hours before a death. What someone did, who they spoke to, how they behaved. And on a cruise ship, every hallway, every elevator, every deck is almost always recorded. But what makes Anna's case more confusing is the silence surrounding those final hours. Passengers who interacted with her described her as perfectly normal, smiling, calm, excited about the day ahead. She had eaten breakfast with her family. She had talked about the excursion they would later take. She wasn't alone, she wasn't distressed, and she wasn't behaving recklessly. There was no fight, no running, no screaming, no panicked rush for help. Nothing that pointed to a sudden medical collapse. So why does the official time of death, the exact minute, raise so many questions? Medical experts reviewing the case publicly commented that the timestamp may indicate an abrupt external event, something acute, something sudden, something not natural. And that's where the questions grow darker. Was Anna harmed? Was there an accident that the cruise line hasn't explained? Was she in an area not meant for passengers? Or did someone else play a role? Cruise ships are floating cities. Thousands of people, dozens of nationalities, independent crew staff, security teams, and closed-off mechanical areas. And every year there are unexplained incidents, falls, assaults, disappearances, medical emergencies under suspicious circumstances. Anna's death fit none of these categories clearly. The FBI boarded the ship immediately after it docked in Miami. Their presence alone signaled that something about this case required federal jurisdiction, but Anna's family received nothing. No report, no timeline, no explanation, just a heartbreaking task, identifying their daughter. And after the autopsy, more silence. Meanwhile, Anna's high school began to process the shock. Her car sat untouched in the school parking lot, the last place she left it. Her friends, devastated, began covering it with flowers, photos, letters, and handwritten notes filled with grief. Her family wrote an obituary calling her our sunshine, our baby girl. She filled the world with laughter, love, and light. But behind those gentle words was a family quietly collapsing. Her father remained adamant he wouldn't speculate, not until he knew the truth. But every day without answers felt like another blow. Every unexplained detail felt like a wound reopening. And still, the biggest questions remained. How did an 18-year-old girl, perfectly healthy, laughing with her family just hours earlier, suddenly die aboard a cruise ship at exactly 11:17 a.m.? Why can't anyone or won't anyone explain what happened? When someone dies on a cruise ship, especially under unclear circumstances, passengers rarely see the aftermath. But Anna's death was impossible to hide. Within minutes, parts of the Carnival Horizon were sealed off. Crew members placed privacy screens in hallways. Security was seen escorting people away from certain doors. And in the distance, some passengers reported seeing a medical team working urgently, then suddenly stopping. Whatever happened, it was fast, and then came the whispers. Cruise passengers began emailing and messaging relatives on land. Someone just died. They're bringing investigators on board. It's a girl. Really young, but none of them knew Anna's name. Meanwhile, Anna's family remained in a nightmare of waiting. They were physically on the same ship, but emotionally worlds away, trapped in confusion and disbelief. The ship's crew told them the FBI would handle the investigation, but the FBI shared nothing. Not the cause of death, not the circumstances, and not the location where she was found. Only one detail escaped into public record: 11:17 a.m., a moment frozen in time, a moment no one could explain. Some experts theorized that the specific timestamp might not be when she died, but when her death was declared. That would indicate that Anna was discovered earlier, perhaps unresponsive, perhaps in a location where immediate help wasn't available. But if that's true, then why hasn't anyone described the scene? What was the location where she collapsed? A cabin? A deck? A stairwell? A restricted area? The absence of answers is almost eerie. Cruise ships keep detailed logs of medical calls, staff responses, and emergencies. These logs are time-stamped, documented, and stored. And yet, none were shared with her grieving parents. You can feel the frustration in her father's voice. I know as little as everybody else. I have no idea what is going on. We were just trying to sit still and wait for answers. He had gone on this trip to make memories. But now he was forced to disembark carrying grief he couldn't process and questions he couldn't ask. Carnival's official statement was painfully brief. We are cooperating with the FBI and are focused on supporting the family. But what does support mean when the truth remains locked behind closed doors? By the time the Keaptainner family arrived back home in Florida, the story was already in national headlines. Journalists wanted interviews, social media was flooded with theories. But the family stayed quiet. Not because they weren't desperate, but because they were terrified of saying something wrong. Something that could harm the investigation. Something that could delay answers even longer. And yet, behind the scenes, all they could think was, how could this happen to Anna? How could she be gone? And why does everything feel like it's being kept in the shadows? The autopsy should have been the moment everything became clear. A medical examiner's job is to answer the questions no one else can. What caused the death? Was it natural? Accidental? Intentional? Was there trauma? Poisoning? A medical condition? But when the Miami-Dade medical examiner released the preliminary findings, the key question, the cause of death, was not made public. Instead, the only detail that stood out was that timestamp. 11:17 a.m. Medical specialists who reviewed the limited public information suggested that the precise time may indicate an acute external event, Something sudden, something rapid, something that triggered an immediate medical response. This is unusual. If someone dies of a slow medical issue like heart failure, respiratory distress, internal complications, the time of death is often estimated. But 11:17 a.m. suggests one of two possibilities. 1. Anna collapsed suddenly and was pronounced dead almost immediately. Or 2. She experienced a rapid event such as trauma or a catastrophic medical incident while surrounded by witnesses or medical staff. Yet neither scenario has ever been confirmed. Meanwhile, Anna's family was left with only their grief and a growing fear that something was terribly wrong. Why wasn't the cause of death released? Why did the FBI take over so quickly? Why was Carnival so quiet? And why did investigators seem to close the doors around the case rather than open them? Anna's obituary paints a picture of a family trying to honor her while struggling to accept reality. Our Anna Banana, our sunshine, our baby girl. She filled the world with laughter, love, and light. Inside that glowing tribute hides a deeper truth. Their world had collapsed. Anna's future, her military dreams, her graduation, the life she never had the chance to start was gone. Her school held a memorial, and her classmates gently decorated her car with flower bouquets, photos, and handwritten messages. We miss you. You were so loved. You didn't deserve this. Her friends grieved the brightest girl in the room. Her teachers mourned the student with a smile that made their day easier. Her grandparents remembered the girl who danced for them on vacation. And her parents, quiet, heartbroken, waited for an explanation that never came. The emotional weight of not knowing became unbearable. Because when a young, healthy 18-year-old dies suddenly, there is never a simple explanation. And the silence only makes the truth feel further away. The deeper investigators looked, the more complicated everything became. Cruise ships are international territory. Laws change depending on the waters, the ship's registry, the location of the incident, and the nationality of the passengers involved. And when someone dies unexpectedly, the case may involve cruise security, local port authorities, the U.S. Coast Guard, the FBI, the medical examiner, foreign maritime law enforcement, private attorneys, Carnival's legal department. This labyrinth of overlapping jurisdictions often results in one thing: nobody gives clear answers. Several cruise ship experts explain that when a death occurs on board, even a suspicious one, the cruise line controls the scene long before law enforcement arrives. They decide who sees the area, who touches the evidence, who gets interviewed, what gets logged, what gets withheld. And if the ship was in international waters at the time, the FBI wouldn't board until docking. That gap in time is often where crucial questions are lost. Did Carnival preserve the scene as it was? Did they record everything? Did they hand over all surveillance footage? Only investigators know. Meanwhile, internet theories spiraled from medical complications to accidental falls to the darkest possibilities. But Anna's father refused to speculate publicly. Not because he didn't want to, but because he feared that speaking too soon could interfere with the investigation. He held on to hope that the FBI would call, that Carnival would send a report, that anyone would give him a real explanation. But as the months passed, nothing came. And that's when the family realized the most difficult truth. Sometimes the silence is the answer. Not because nothing happened, but because someone somewhere is choosing not to talk. Anna deserved a future uniform, medals, a career she dreamed of since childhood. Instead, she became part of an ever-growing list of mysterious cruise ship deaths that remain unanswered, unproven, unresolved. Her family is still fighting, still hoping, still grieving, but nothing will bring Anna back to them. And perhaps the most haunting part, the people who know what happened on that ship may never come forward. Today, Anna's story remains one of the most heartbreaking modern cases involving a young person on a cruise ship. Her family continues to wait for clarity. Her friends continue to leave messages on her memorial page. And her school continues to honor the legacy of the girl who was supposed to walk across the graduation stage. Every year, millions of passengers board cruises seeking joy, celebration, and escape from everyday life. But Anna's case reminds us that tragedy can strike even in places meant to feel safe. Her father still speaks softly about his daughter, his voice cracking every time he mentions her smile. I know as little as everybody else. I have no idea what is going on. That sentence captures his heartbreak, his helplessness, his anger, and his fear that he may never know what took his daughter's life. There's an empty seat at their dinner table now. An unused military recruitment folder on Anna's desk. A graduation gown she never wore. Photos that feel more painful than comforting. But the biggest reminder of all is her car still sitting outside her high school, covered in flowers left by a community that refuses to forget her. Her parents describe her as laughter, love, and light. Teachers call her a joy, friends call her irreplaceable. And the world now knows her as the girl who boarded a cruise ship one morning and never came back. But her family still believes one day the truth will surface, because Anna deserves more than silence, more than mystery. More than a time stamp, 11:17 a.m., she deserves justice. And until the day answers come, her story will continue to echo across every deck, every hallway, every shadowed corner of the Carnival Horizon where the truth still lives, hidden from the world. A truth her family refuses to stop searching for. Anna's story is heartbreaking not just because she died, but because the truth died with her. A young girl full of dreams, laughter, and love deserved answers her family is still waiting for. If you believe her story deserves justice, please like this video, share her name, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue bringing attention to cases the world cannot forget. Your support helps keep Anna's memory alive. Thank you for watching, and take care of each other.